Hey everypone, so Brony Curious just put out this video where he's like, I'm going to show you my room because someone asked him in his Q&A. No one asked me in my Q&A, but I don't care, I'm going to show you anyway because I'm just like really obsessed with showing people my room for some reason. I've actually done this no less than 3 times, I believe, in the past. But the last one was over a year ago and it was in text and it had this really complex system of me putting labels on pictures and it's pretty horrible. So I know none of you are going to go look for it, but I do know that some of you would be interested in seeing my room, which is beyond this door. It's actually, we're in a stairwell right now, which is the staircase leading up to just my room. This door over here, that probably was in the shot, goes to the attic. That's not my room. There's all kinds of fun stuff in there, but that's really for another time. So, this is going to be super long because I'm a big fan of the idea that everything has a story, and that story might be interesting. It's interesting to me. I don't know if it's interesting to anybody else, but I like the stories behind the minutiae of the world. So we're going to talk about every little thing in my room and tell you the story behind it, because I never forget anything. So let's go inside. First, you're going to see some panning shots of what you're actually getting yourself into. So, welcome to my room. Don't show me, show my room. Make sure you get some low shots so you can see the floor and everything, like see how big, because you know, you gotta kind of see the floor to get dimension, a sense of space. So here's where we came in, here's the door. If you can just pan around, there's the bed, I'll walk here, just follow me, I'll walk around. There's a bed here, you can go up on this and get close to the ceiling. I'm short, so I got this light that Victor brought in. Back here is my desk area. You know, just giving you the basic tour. So you've probably seen a lot of stuff in the background. You're like, what's that? That looks exciting. But we're going to take it slow. And we're going to start off by the door, as always. So, okay, so welcome to section 1 of my room. We're going to start in 1A. That's right, we're branching this into like tiny little bits so that we can cover absolutely everything. So as you can see, I don't dust. This is pretty gross. I probably should start dusting, so all my stupid expensive figures aren't covered in dust. So we're going to start here. Let's see. I've got these 2 little girls. These are from Bakemonogatari, which is an anime series that I'm a big fan of. This is Mayoi. She's got this cute backpack. And what is your Nadeko? She's best known for the song Demoso Nanja Dare Moso Nanja. If you're an anime fan, you probably know this song. I once sang it in karaoke with some friends in the Philippines. But I believe I got these at Otakon the last year I went, which would be 2011. Those were some of the last figures I've actually bought. This is much older. This is Kagamiku, which also came from Otakon. For those who've never seen the show Lucky Star, one of the main characters is this girl, Kagami, and she's known for wearing pigtails and generally being, she doesn't really approve of otaku-ness, but her best friend is an otaku, Konata, so she kind of is like, about it, but she's like, whatever. So in the OVA, she cosplays as Hatsune Miku, and so they made a Figma of the Hatsune Miku cosplay, which you can pose fully. She's got leaks, and, you know, Figmas are known for having, like, lots of different expressions, and they're fully posable, so you can do anything with them. I believe we originally had her in, like, a magical girl pose and stuff, because she comes with, like, an embarrassed face where she's doing the Kyun. But right now I've got her pissed off, dual-wielding green onions. So, yeah, she's not too happy about anything right now. I don't pose these, sadly. I really have always wanted to do more with them, but I don't remember, and I'm lazy as fuck. Especially CANAAN. So, this is CANAAN from the anime series CANAAN. She's in a pretty solid pose right now, so I don't really want to do anything to her. She looks pretty nice. But the thing is, I bought CANAAN because she's one of my favorite characters, and she came with like a gun and all these posable, you know, expressions, and I was like, it'd be cool to do stop motion with this because you can fully pose her and do like, you know, I can have action scenes because I have like bucket loads of old ass action figures in the attic. Most of them are from like Jurassic Park and shit. But it's all these generic dudes, and I can just have her just sweep through like, because they all look like people who would die in some Bond movie or something. So she could just sweep through and kill them all. I have not actually done any stop motion with her though. I think I got her and these guys at Otakon as well. No, this one I got in the Philippines. Okay, so this is another Bakemonogatari character. She is Senjougahara, the main female in the show. What's great about this pose that I've got her in, I bought it just because of this pose that she could do this, because there's a famous scene in episode 6, spoiler alert, where she points at the main character and she says, "I love you," in English, and it's just like this, it's kind of a weird moment, but it was like the most romantic sort of scene. It's very memorable if you watch the show, and so they have it advertised on the back of the box that you could do that pose. And I mean, obviously it would look more cool if I was actually paying attention to this figure and not just letting it sit here on my desk. And I believe I bought that in the Philippines, which is where I bought everything on Section B. Well, before we move to Section B, let's look under here. There's just a bag of parts. This is kind of creepy. This is like a bunch of faces suffocating in a plastic bag. This is like the parts for pretty much all of my Nendoroids and Figmas, because I figure, why keep a bunch of small bags? You can just shove them all into one huge bag. I've also got some boxes down here, but those are just boxes, so there's nothing exciting about them except for the stuff that came in them, which we'll get to later. Moving along. And welcome to Section 1B of my collection. So, everything on this shelf I bought in the Philippines when I was staying there with my friend. This Philippines trip deserves stories all on its own, and there's plenty of them online. I wrote about it extensively while I was there, but and I'll put some links in the description to shit about the Philippines. But basically, my online friend Ghost Lightning is this guy. He's like 35 now. He has a daughter and a wife, and I stayed with them in the Philippines for a month. And it just so happened that while I was there was this big toy convention. Not big, but like it was in a mall, and there was like this fucking set aside these rooms for toys. Just an ocean of people cram-packed into a small space, and all these vendors selling all kinds of weird shit. So that's where I got everything on this shelf. So figures in the Philippines are definitely a lot cheaper than they would be to buy here. So, and I could find all kinds of stuff that you can't find in the US. Some of which may or may not be fake. So starting with my Touhous, here we have Reimu. I think this one's fake, just because it's very plasticky, and like, see how it kind of like reflects like plastic off her face, whereas it should be made of PVC and not really have that. But I mean, it's adorable. It's Reimu, you know. Regardless of whether it's fake, oh well, we'll put that on later. It's nice to have, even if it's fake. Sometimes buying fake figures, you do it just because it's not so much that you're trying to support the industry or something. You're just buying it because you like having it, you know. So next, we're gonna move on to my favorite character ever, Remilia Scarlet from Touhou. You've probably seen by now my video on characterization, where I talk about the aesthetic persona. This is where all of my thoughts about that come from, is Remilia Scarlet, because I've been a huge fan of her forever, and she has no depth or development whatsoever. There is no canon for Touhou, except for like the most absolute basic character traits that are introduced in the video games, and then the fans just like draw all this artwork and do all these doujins and stuff. But the thing is that, like, Brony Curious has said that he thinks fans create depth, and that's why you like the characters. Not really the case with Remilia Scarlet. I haven't read any of her fan fictions or anything like that. I just don't care. I just like the way she looks and what she is. She's a 510 or something year old vampire lolly who is adorable and has this great hat. Come on, what more do you need from a character? Who needs depth when you've got a fucking hat? So yeah, that's Remilia Scarlet. And then we have her younger sister, Flandre Scarlet, who I'm also a big fan of. And she's just being adorable, kind of leaned back, because again, I don't pose these frequently or anything, as you can see by the veil of dust covering them, but I should be kind to my figures. And then we have Shiki from Kara no Kyoukai, which is one of my favorite anime series. It's a series of movies that I really think everyone should watch. It's very underappreciated. Not enough people have actually watched it. It's fucking fantastic. And I haven't seen it in a few years, and I'd really like to watch it again, because if there's one way that I could get back into anime, that would probably be a good one. Let's make her look a little bit more grr. Yeah, oh, jeez. Fuck. Well, thing about Nendoroids that their heads are heavy, and you gotta kind of strike a balance. This is the only one I think that I did not buy in the Philippines, actually. I ordered her online. The other ones are all from the PI. So, moving along, we have Sanzeni Nagi. She's from Hayate the Combat Butler, or Hayate no Gotoku as it's known in Japan. She is just this adorable kid who happens to have inherited a ridiculous fortune, so she's unbelievably rich. I haven't been a fan of Hayate for years. I don't really care about it anymore. I just really like her character design at this point. Just like, basically her aesthetic persona. I don't really care about her character in the context of the show. I just kind of like what she is. And so that's why I bought that. And it was cheap, so whatever. And she comes with this tiger. Now, in the actual show, he's like 8 feet tall. And he's just this... He can speak, but she doesn't know that. And so he tries to keep it a secret that from her that he can talk. Only Hayate knows. Moving along, behind this veil of adorable anime girls, we have these serious-ass Berserk figures. So now we move on to... These are both from Soul of Berserk or something like that. It was some series of figures that were from the 90s. That are nearly impossible to find in the US. And these were cheap as fuck at that toy fair, which is excellent. There were other cooler, bigger Berserk toys that were more expensive, but I was just like, I just want the cheap ones. So we've got Casca. Unfortunately, her sword, which is pretty fucking cool, is broken because it broke in transit in my backpack from the Philippines to the US. Fun fact, I do not have any of the boxes for these figures. I just left them in the Philippines because I didn't want to have to bring all this extra carry-on luggage or whatever. I didn't have space. So I just had this one backpack, and I just put all these figures in it, like, as is. And so she was, amazingly, she's the only thing that broke in transit from that flight. Both trips to and from the Philippines, I did not have any non-carry-on luggage. I just had a backpack and a suitcase, and I managed to fit it all in. Griffin, also from the same place. Yeah, so he's cool. Griffith, right. Well, he's the leader of the White Griffins. Hey, Nagi's got a hat. This thing is supposed to have like a thing that clamps to her head that goes into it, but I don't know where that is. I think one of the cleaning ladies lost it. For a little while, my dad was hiring cleaning ladies, because I don't know why. He's just like a neat freak, and none of us really take care of shit, so he was hiring cleaning ladies, and they didn't do a good job. They would never, like, fucking do enough, but they kept knocking over my figures when they tried to dust them, and I'm like, guys, just don't bother. Come on. You know? Alright, so anyway, moving along, we have these Heartcatch Precure toys. If you're a Precure fan, and you'll appreciate this. So, these were, like, really cheap, considering their quality. Like, these have really nice sculpts. They're not, like, the most intense toys, but they're fucking great for the price point. Yeah. So that's Cure Merin. She's the best. She's my favorite Precure. And then we also have Cure Sunshine. And the funny thing about her is that I did not get far enough in Heartcatch Precure to even see this character appear yet. So I really have no idea who she is. I just bought her like on the promise that I would finish Heartcatch, which I still haven't done. I'm sure I will eventually. And then we've got Saki from an anime also called Saki. This one's another one that I just pretty much bought because it was cheap. It's not even that fancy or nice of a build. I was just like, I really want something from Saki because I like the show. And she was there and it wasn't expensive. And I mean, I went into a blind toy buying frenzy. I was at a toy fair. I had too much money and I was like, let's buy everything. So that's how that happened pretty much. But yeah, so that's the end of that section. Now we're going to move to the lowdown. Can you go this low?
How low can I go?
That's a good fucking question. Alright, so now we're down to the shelf that is simultaneously my favorite and the one I regret the absolute most. Because everything on this shelf is stupidly expensive and not worth the price. So, these are my art books. So, for starters, we've got the stuff... This is the works of one Yoshitoshi Abe, who I was a huge fan of in about 2008 when I went to my first Otakon, and I spent most of the money I had on Yoshitoshi Abe art books. So first we have Scrap, which is the Nia Under 7 art book. I think that was in the second show that he did. Nia Under 7 is like his least well-known work, but if you don't know who he is, he did Serial Experiments Lane. That's what this artist is best known for, but he's done a lot of other stuff too. He did Haibane Renmei, which is considered a classic by pretty much everyone who's ever seen it. Unfortunately, I don't think there is a Haibane Renmei art book in itself, but I know some people could probably get a hold of the original doujinshis, which is probably impossible and expensive as fuck these days. But anyway, here we have Geisokyo, which is like his big, this is like just a straight up art book. It's got like characters from, oh my god. It's got characters from like all of his series, as well as just a bunch of general pictures that he drew. This thing was stupidly, it's like $70, so it's just too fucking much. Because of the fact that I don't look at these art books enough. Like, I pretty much looked at each of them once, and then never again. And that's why I regret buying them, but it's just like, I love the artist so much that I couldn't help it. This one's hilarious. This one is the art book of Kei. And when I bought this at the store, I had no idea who Kei was. I just assumed it was like someone who really liked Hatsune Miku, because most of it's Hatsune Miku. It's like a mixture of, like the first half of it is like all Hatsune Miku art, and there's like a whole bunch of pictures of this girl who smokes cigarettes and has glasses, and I just think that's awesome. So I was like, I don't know who this girl is, but I like that she smokes cigarettes and has glasses. Makes her pretty cool in my book. So I was just kind of looking at it, and this was like pretty cheap. I think it was like $30, which is cheap for an art book. And I bought it. Then I found out, like, years later, or at least a year and a half later, that Kei is the designer of Hatsune Miku. You just wouldn't guess, because most of his art, because like this would look like design work, but most of his art is more like this, like super Photoshop-y stuff. I just had no idea. And it says it like in the book that he is that person, and I was just like, yeah, the character designer of Hatsune Miku, Kei's first book. And I'm just like, oh, okay, I had no idea. I feel like a fucking idiot for that. So moving along, this is my favorite of my art books. This is Candy Rain by Sakai Kyuta. Interestingly enough, Sakai Kyuta is a character designer for anime adaptations mostly. Like, he did not draw the original Higurashi characters, which are on the cover. He just drew the anime versions of them. But the anime versions look way the fuck better than the originals, because the original graphic novels visual novels are pretty awful. He has great design sense with, like, costumes and stuff. I just love the way, I mean, look at this. It's fucking adorable. So, yeah, he does great outfits and stuff. And then he did, it's like mostly Higurashi, but let's see. There should be some other stuff. Yeah, Ichigo Marshmallow. That show's adorable as hell. Oh, some racy artwork. What is this from? I don't even know. Oh, it's Maid Guy. Fucking Kamen no Maid Guy. Some stuff from Strawberry whatever. The one with the fucking lesbians. He likes lesbians, and I like lesbians, so we get along. But yeah. Jesus. Stuff It's like a hair stuck in there. That's gross. And moving along, here's the ones that I regret the most, because I have not read them yet. This is the first 5 volumes of Robot. So Robot is fucking cool, but what it is it's like all these artists got together and did art together. That's the best explanation ever. It's like Range Murata, who did Blue Submarine number 6, and fucking, what did he do that's popular? I don't remember. Range Murata led the project. It's got like comics by Yoshitoshi Abe and Range Murata, and it's all full color and just these fucking gorgeous comics by all these different artists. Some of them do like subcolor or like whatever. There's just tons of variety comics. This is the Yoshitoshi Abe section, and like Abe's is like a continuing story throughout the Robot volumes, so it's got that aspect to it where it's like kind of like a serial magazine. It's just got all kinds of stuff in it. Here's the thing, when I found out about Robot, I was at the store and I found volumes 4 and 5, and I bought these just on their own. I didn't have 1, 2, and 3 yet. And I like flipped through them, but I didn't know the continuing storyline, so I didn't read the comics, and I still haven't. My friend my friend Don-san, this is in 2008, went on Yahoo Auctions, and he found all 3 of these for $20 a piece, and he was like, hey, I'll buy these, or he said, do you want me to buy these for you and you can pay me back? And I said, sure, and he did so. And I said, I'll pay you back when I get a job. I did not get a job for the next 4.5 years, and the first thing I did with my paycheck was to pay him $60 for these 3 books, which I had never read. I promised him I would pay for them, and I said I wouldn't read them until I paid him, and I just paid him about 6 months ago. And I still haven't read them yet. So I don't know if that was a worthwhile purchase. I mean, if I read them and they turn out to be amazing, I'll be like, oh, I'm glad. But yeah, I think there's like 12 volumes of Robot too. So that's all my art books. Let's move. Oh god, it's just so dusty. This is just gross. Let's move on to the next one.
You did some great gay hands there. We're still on the first shelf and it's already been like 30 minutes.
I said it was going to take hours.
Digi, I don't remember that part.
So, this is 1D. I've stopped keeping track of the letter number combinations. It's like all tiny stuff from all kinds of places. That one can stand up. So, starting here, we've got these 5 railgun characters from the series Toaru Kagaku no Railgun, or A Certain Scientific Railgun, which is a spin-off series of another show called A Certain Magical Index, or Toaru Majutsu no Index. Anyway, I got this as a set of 10, actually, because my little brother Shade is a big fan of the Railgun series. I thought it was okay. I liked the characters a lot, but the show was just kind of like, But anyway, I bought them as a set of 10 when I was in the Philippines, because I could, and I gave half of them to Shade, and had half, because it's like the same characters in 2 sets, so it's like, you've got these 4, and then you've also got them in like gym clothes doing some kind of workout routine, so I gave him the workout ones and kept the regular ones. But there's one place where it differs, and this is the whole reason I bought the set. Like, other than giving him to Shade, I would not have bought the set if not for the fact that it comes with Tsukuyomi Komoe, and she is the other reason that I wrote about aesthetic persona, because she's a character who's like incredibly minor in the franchise. Like, she's the teacher for the main characters, and she only shows up in like 4 episodes where she has like major roles, and she's just this. She's adorable. She's like 4.5 feet tall. She's like, she has to use like books to like boost her seat in her car and shit, and all she does is smoke and drink all day and complain about how no one wants to like marry her because she's old and tiny. So she's the oldest character in the whole series. She's supposed to be like almost 40, but she looks like she's fucking 8 years old, and I just love her. And so as soon as I saw that there was this figure, even though it's tiny and I had to buy the whole set to go with it, I was like, I don't care, I want Komoe Sensei, I will pay whatever you charge me. So, moving along, we have this character from Star Driver, whose name always escapes me. Do you know her name?
The lolly?
She's not really a lolly.
Really?
Not really.
Okay.
She has tits. She does, and she's like fucking sexes everyone.
She's still a fucking
anyway,
lolly.
I would not consider her a lolly. Anyway, this character, name is still escaping me. I just really liked her design, and she was like one of the most fun characters in Star Driver, but she doesn't really get to do much. So this was one of those like impulse buys that I was like, I can't believe I actually spent money on that character, because I don't even remember her name. But you know, she's fun. In the long run, I don't miss the money, because it doesn't exist anymore. There's no point in crying over spilled
money.
Exactly. Alright, moving along. I forgot to mention at any point that part of the selection of these characters is that I wanted to own at least one figure of all my favorite characters. So, like, that's why, like, with Komoe Sensei, even though it's, like, this tiny figure, it was, like, she's one of my favorites. I had to have her, even if they only make her in, like, the smallest possible form as part of a set. The same goes for Nobue Nesan from Ichigo Marshmallow. So, the main characters of Ichigo Marshmallow are these 4 little girls, and one of them, her older sister, is Nobue, and Nobue is the best. She is the ultimate fucking character. She is this, like, she just smokes and drinks and is a troll and picks on the kids, and she's like a great big sister, but also a complete dick to them at times. She gets into fights with them and stuff and beats them up, and I love that. She is, like, she's basically the female version of me. That's how I see her. If I actually was still in college. But yeah, I love this fucking character. Waifu, don't steal. Anyway, moving along. These 2 are also from the Philippines, and these are from Gintama. So we have Kagura, who is this hilarious little girl, like she's from some planet, and she has super strength and a sassy mouth. And she basically acts as like a surrogate little sister to Gintoki. Now, I know I just said that Nobune was like a female me. Gintoki just is me, but like 8 years from now. And he is this is the most relatable anime character ever for me. And the specific moment when I decided that Gintoki was like anime me was in episode 8 or 9. It's really early in the show. This show has like 400 episodes, and I'm not even done with it. But after years. But the defining moment for me is in one of the early episodes, this guy wants to fight him, and he's like, there's supposed to be like this like grudge match or whatever, and he gets into the fight, and he like gives the guy a sword to fight him with, and they're having this like stare down, and it's all majestic and stuff, and they go to fight, and the guy's sword breaks in half, and Gintoki beats the shit out of him, and then he brags that he had purposefully rigged the guy's sword. He had cut through it with a file to make it break in half when the fight started to beat his ass, and everyone in the show is just like, holy shit, you're a terrible person. Like, he's all bragging about it. He's like, what did I do? And they're all just like, you fucking suck, you're just the worst. And I was like, I've been through this. I have been through this, because I cheat to get what I want. And everyone's just like, dude, come on, man. It was like me playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Back in the day. So, yeah, I love Gintoki, and he's hilarious. He gives this epic speech about strawberry milk, which you should go look up on YouTube. Next, we don't really have a section down here, so I'm just gonna, like, pick up shit. What the hell? What the hell?
That was my old phone that I gave to you that was probably broken by Brando or something.
Okay.
That was a decent phone.
Didn't know it was down there. I just didn't know. Ugh, I'm, like, spitting. We have some skunks down here, because my mom has always referred to me as Stinker since I was a baby. That was, like, my baby name. I'm guessing I probably stank a lot, but she called me Stinkwa. And so she's bought me some skunks over the years to represent.
Christ.
That's how she says it, Stinkwa. I'm glad that sent you into fits of giggles. What the fuck? Silly bands? Oh snap, it's Prinnies! If you're a Disgaea fan, you should recognize this frame. These are Prinny Silly Bands. I have no idea where I got these. I think these were... yeah, it was at a Bandai panel at Otakon one year. They gave these out in like these little prize bags. I think that's how I got all this shit down here, actually. So all that's left down here is just like these random Ghost in the Shell things. Like, they come on these stands that were supposed to link together. Like, you get 4 different ones and they link together, but I didn't have all of them. And I don't... God, this is dusty as shit. Ugh, it's just like coated in dust. It's gross. Is the high-def camera capturing all the fucking dust on this thing? Like...
Hopefully.
God. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of Ghost in the Shell. Like, I liked the movie. I still haven't watched Standalone Complex. I tried to watch it back in the day, but I kept falling asleep, and I found it boring as shit. But I could probably handle... Oh my god. So, yeah, I don't take care of those because I don't care about the show. So it's like if you thought the ones I cared about were dusty, wait till you see the ones I don't care about, you know. I was going to give those to a friend of mine, but I never did. So anyway, that's it for section 1. And since we're planning to do this as a series of videos, because obviously each of these takes forever, this is the end of the first video. Annotations or something, probably. Is there space
Annotations!
Here?
Yes, there is annotations!
Does this take you back? Does this take you back? God.
It takes me back.